Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Iron Squid Super Sunday Showdown. Oh wow, what a set of games we have for you today. My name is Totalbiscuit and I'm joined once again by the masterful Mr. D. Apollo.
Hello. Yes, this is going to be an amazing Sunday. We finally have the match that everybody's been waiting for. And that isn't even the spotlight game, to be honest, in my opinion. No. It's going to be an amazing day.
It is quite frankly stunning. Group A for me was really awesome, but this group is shaping up to be even more exciting. Maybe it's because we have an extra Zerg and one less Terran, so we've got a bit more exciting stuff going on, and also the fact that we do have a genuinely competitive Protoss in the group who is certainly not going to be washing out 0-4. I can pretty much guarantee that. The one and only SKMC, who comes off fresh from his wins at IEM.
Yes, this is going to be an incredible group. I really do believe that MC can bring the Protoss play. I mean, we did see Todd fail 0-4. We haven't even seen a Protoss win a series yet. If anyone's going to do it, it is going to be the IAM champion, MC, of course.
Without question. And he's going to be going up against his arch rival. One might say, I think the problem right now, I suppose, is that with the current state of affairs and the skill levels of players, would you even class Idra as a rival to MC in his current form?
No, not anymore. I mean, maybe he used to be, but I still think they're just rivals through them hating each other and them consistently playing against each other and MC loving playing against Idra. But in terms of results, I mean, Idra hasn't even got a positive, not even a halfway positive record there. I mean, he's won like 1 series out of 6 against MC. So MC, definitely the favorite going up against Idra today. But that's not even our first match.
No, it is not. This is a match that I am extremely excited for because it has got the master himself, IMMVP, versus the up-and-comer, the upstart, one of the most exciting Zerg players we're currently seeing out of Korea, TSL.Symbol.
Yeah, this is going to be a fantastic game. They did play in the GSTL not so long ago, but MV cleaned up the win. But in the GSTL, it's all about choosing players towards a specific map.
Yes.
This time, it's a best of 3. Anything can happen, and I really do believe that Symbol, after going 2-0 against Idra, is already looking good in his group. And I do believe that he can advance through, whether it be first place or alongside MVP. That is yet to be decided, but let's see, man. I'm so excited to see Symbol play here.
I am as well. It's going to be great. And we're going to have MVP versus Symbol coming up first, followed by Idra versus MC. And then we're going to see Symbol again versus the foreign Terran hope Thorzane.
Yeah, that's going to be a good game too, to see how Thorzane dissects his opponent, but I believe that Symbol may be a little bit too fast, a little bit too multitasking heavy, and his strategy is probably not as good as Thorzane's, but will the Spoon be able to beat a guy on fire recently? We'll have to see.
It's going to be difficult. We saw him take apart his teammate Polt, and that is no mean feat. Zerg versus Terran for Symbol is a great matchup. He is totally comfortable in that particular matchup, and that's what he's mostly going to be dealing with. I mean, he's already cleaned out the other Zerg player. He went 2-0 against Idra. Now he's got to fight 2 Terran players, both of whom he's going to fight today, and then he's going to finish off against Protoss, which, as we have seen, we don't see a lot of Symbol, I guess, but we did see him go up against Genius, and he didn't do so well. But we shall see what he's learned from that experience.
Yeah, I mean, Symbol's won the most important game, which really breaks him into the group, which was against Idra. But now it's where it becomes a lot more difficult. As you said, he has to play twice today against MVP, then Thorzane, and finally MC. And he wants to win at least one of the 2 games here today, which would set him up with the 2-1 record going into his game against MC. And we know that 2-2 can sometimes bring you through, as we saw Puma just advance through, scraping through with a 2-2 record. But ideally, he does want to go above that, and that's definitely what his goals are going to have to set for.
Yeah, I don't think there's any easy matches left for him, really. The ZVZ against Idra, yeah, okay, that was a must-win for him. He got it, put it in the bag, no problem. 2-0, which is always good if it comes down to map score. But the risk, I suppose, now being that he goes up against 3 very capable opponents, 2 Koreans and a very high-tier foreigner. And can he deal with them? We will find out. This is going to be Symbol's day, I think, one way or the other. This will be the day where he either proves himself and puts himself in a great position to advance in his group, or proves, more to the point, that he simply does not have what it takes to compete with people of this caliber. We'll find out one way or the other quite shortly. We're going to see the first of Symbol's games against MVP right after we've recapped what happened in Show 5. So if you missed it, here's what we saw previously on Iron Squid. All right, ladies and gents, that is what you missed here on Iron Squid, is brought to you by Astro Gaming and Twitch.tv, and we're going to be going into our first match of this Sunday show. It's going to be MVP versus Symbol.
Yeah, one of the most amazing things for Symbol in this group is the fact that he is the underdog, because everyone's going to be like, all right, he lost. That was expected. So there's no weight on his shoulders whatsoever going into this group, and that's where players really do begin to shine. They always go in and be like, all right, if I win, yes, everyone's going to love me, but if I lose, nobody cares because they weren't expecting me to win anyway. So a Symbol going into this series, I feel, will be even more confident than MVP himself, just because of that reason, and he will not be afraid to try anything. He won't be afraid to just go for the win. An MVP may take cautions. MVP knows this guy. He knows who he is from StarCraft 1. He knows who he is in StarCraft 2, and may take unnecessary precautions here. But to be honest, a counter argument to that: if MVP plays as good as he did against Thorzane, just a few days ago, then, Symbol might as well just GG before the game even gets going.
Yeah, MVP's win against Thorzane, especially in Game 2, was what I would class as effortless. It really was. And that is crushing, of course, for the hopes of the foreigner fans, because Thorzane was one of the really big hopes in this tournament, and went crashing out in that game. Admittedly, it was probably going to be his hardest game one way or the other, so you can hardly blame him going up against the player that many argue is the best Terran in the world at the moment. And I have to wonder what Symbol will break up, because there's even something to consider here. The idea that as an upstart, it's not even just about winning, it's about making your mark. And with so many kind of Code B Koreans who just aren't all that well known, the greatest thing for them is to be known. It is to get a presence. It is to get a brand started. It's to get their personality there, imprinted on the scene. And that sometimes encourages rash play, but also play with flair. And that's actually what we've been seeing from Symbol. He's got an interesting style to him, and his games are rarely boring. He employs things that other players would not. Even in the ZVZ that we saw, the deployment of Nidusworm as a game winner was absolutely fantastic. We've seen in his ZVT he really likes burrowed banelings, but the risk is, do you try and employ a tactic of that caliber against somebody like MVP, who can surely see that coming?
Yeah, if you were to predict the series outcome, what would you do? What would you say?
I would say 2-1 in favor of MVP, on the basis that maybe MVP gets caught out by something a little bit crazy, and then is able to simply rally back, gets the idea, and then just goes on to play a straight-up, safe macro Terran game. That's
actually like exactly what I was going to say, man. I got nothing to follow that up with.
There you go. Even a stopped clock is right twice per day, folks. Just remember that one. Well, without further ado, we're going to get kicked off with this because this is the match to see today, in my opinion. Incredible Miracles MVP versus TSL.Symbol. Coming up right about now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to GSL Daybreak, which will be the arena for our first confrontation right here between TSL.Symbol. He is in the blue trunks playing Zerg to the northeast versus his opponent, IMMVP. He is in the red trunks playing Terran to the southwest.
And as mentioned in the introduction of the show, these guys actually met this year in 2012 in the GSTL TSL versus IM, and we saw MVP beat down Symbol, but as we said in the intro, this is a best of 3 now. Anything can happen. You know, they've had time to prepare rather than the GSTL. It's like you get caught up from the bench.
Yep.
Let's go. This time it's all to play for.
Very true, and I'm interested to see what Symbol can actually provide for us here. MVP is known as a extremely polished Terran in every aspect. Whenever I talk to a pro gamer and we talk about, who's the best player in the world, 99 times out of 100, it's MVP that comes out. Even now, after he's been shown to be not invincible, we've heard that from people, and that should be scary to anybody. It really should.
Yeah, it's true. MVP is widely considered one of the best, and Symbol, even knowing that, is now, scouting around in locations where barracks can be hidden with his drone scout, which isn't really that common in this matchup. You really don't see that many drone scouts, and he's already showing that he's really, really cautious.
Well, that is a reputation and a half that he's going up against here, really. MVP is widely respected, not only in the foreigner scene, but of course in the Korean scene as well. Interesting stuff here from MVP, actually, to start with. Looks like, are we going to see CC first? It looks like we may very well, and that's a show of confidence, certainly, against the up-and-comer Symbol. And we've also got 2 SCVs, both going across the map here.
Yeah, it's mind games here from MVP, pushing them out like he's 2-raxed, and he's basically being like, alright, I have 2-raxed here, I'm pulling more SCVs to come and help and aid me, and we already have a drone from Symbol on the natural here looking for it, so weird mind games here from MVP, who's actually just gone command center first behind this.
I love it. That's a very confident move and very awesome indeed, because what an advantage that is going to get him. And Symbol will surely finally figure it out. He's now seeing a barracks there, and he should end up scouting the command center. The place it's been put has actually been fantastic, and the CC still hasn't been scouted here.
It should do now, though, as the supply depot's walled him in. He should go around and to the left, and there it is spotted, and mind game's over, and that was pretty funny from MVP, and not robotic at all by MVP, and that's what I really do love against, well, not really against, but with such a solid Terran player, that he does small little things like this to hide his true colors.
Yeah, it's wonderful, isn't it? He isn't a robotic player. I certainly never see him as a boring player either. He's got a lot of finesse, and he may not be as rash and as, I suppose, have as much flair as other players, but when he decides to break out something like that, well, you can't help but respect it, honestly. The drone will finally be killed, but it's CC first. What a good start. And there's even an SCV down at the 3rd here, just in case Symbol tries to get another expansion down quickly.
Yeah, he's going to be able to pick up the knowledge really fast, MVP, if Symbol's playing 3 base, very ground-heavy army, or whether he's teching up to more prestigious units. And we do have the follow-up from MVP, which is just a factory, and I would not be surprised if he throws down the Rector from this as well and just goes into a regular Hellion opening, as they are good at 4 minutes in the game, they're good at 6 minutes in the game. It really doesn't matter. They still get the end goal, which is to contain his opponent and to deny that creep spread. And maybe he has to use a single scan, but he's got double over commands. He's got more than enough energy to draw that creep spread back.
Yep. Nice play by Symbol, however. He did head straight down to the 3rd to pick up that SCV, knowing that there were SCVs all over the map anyway because of that little fake 2-racks deployment. Hey, maybe there's one on the 3rd because he wants to check whether or not I'm going to grab my 3rd quickly, and if I do, then I am going to most likely get the tail end of some really nasty aggression. But what we're actually seeing now from MVP, now that he doesn't have information about this 3rd, is that he's going to expand again. And we are seeing an awful lot of Terran players in Korea go for 3 command centers very early on.
Yeah, I mean, it basically allows you to saturate the main and natural so incredibly fast, and unlike normal timings, you can do stuff so much faster. You can have double engineering bay or double factory really, really early compared to a usual build, and that's the amazing thing of having it. And then you also have the additional set of a scan if need be. If any damage comes into you and you lose SCVs, you can replenish faster. It is an amazing thing to have, but at the same time, it's an amazing risk to take because you don't have any units while building it.
That's very, very true, but thankfully it looks like he's not going to be under too much pressure. The expansion is coming down again. It's going to get immediately picked up here by MVP. Can't kill it, but he at least knows the timing of it. He is aware. He may even be able to at least deny some creep spread, but it doesn't really make too much of a difference. It's almost already there. Nicely played there by Symbol. Always likes to get a third queen very, very quickly. He doesn't miss his injects. He nails them down, and he's got that extra queen for defense and for spreading creep as well. Otherwise, Symbol just has Lings at the moment, and he's going to go double evolution chamber right about now.
Yeah, I mean, he's taking all 4 gases, which is a little bit weird considering he's taking a fast third bases. You'd really expect a Zerg player to be building nothing but drones and using only minerals, but he does throw the double evolution chamber down, and these Hellions are getting a little bit scary now. The count keeps on climbing up, but this was the count will stop at this now. It'll stop at the 6 mark here, but there still potentially could be an opening if Simple is caught out of position.
Yes, that's true, and he's going to take a little bit of damage here on his third base. There isn't really a drone line to attack here. Spinecrawler goes down, needless to say. The Queen is a little bit of a risk, but depends whether or not MVP wants to actually risk the Hellions, and not a great engagement there by Symbol, honestly. He takes out a single Hellion, doesn't really gain all that much, and now those drones will have to leave. And even the Queen is actually at risk of just going down in fire, as she does. How very unfortunate there. Overlord Scout goes in from Symbol. He's going all the way across, and he sees absolutely everything.
Yeah, this is really nice play from MVP, and then likewise to get the Overlord in there for Symbol, but those Hellions done way too much damage there. A single Hellion being killed for all these units to be pumped down and drones not to be manning from the third base. Even though he did get a good scout and sees, you know, everything there in terms of production, he is a little bit behind in this game.
Yes, he is, unquestionably. MVP keeps all of those Hellions alive once again. We've got quite a few roaches coming out here from Symbol, so he does want to shut down that Hellion aggression hard this time around and realizes, you know what, I don't want to sacrifice the number of Lings it would take to get around MVP's Hellion micro. That just doesn't seem worthwhile to me, so let's get some roaches out. Double upgrades coming. He's going to go for the +1 on Lings here as opposed to +1 range.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get Lings. It basically smooths out the transition as the game goes on, so he can go into the Infestation Pit, into Hive, into Ultras or Broodlings, whatever he wants. And MVP, on the other hand, his upgrades now, double Engineering Bay, his production is really sick, and he can very easily pick up that command center and take a third base shortly, and now we're seeing the true strength of that early command center, because no way he would normally be able to afford all these things at the 11-minute mark.
No, but now he's got all sorts of wonderful things. The question is, will Symbol be able to shut it down more to the point? Doesn't get a good surround at all. The Hellions have now been eliminated, and there's a pick up and go from MVP getting out of those. The reinforcements stream around from the side. So in reality, a fairly nice defense. Not too many losses here from Symbol. He's backing this up with 13 more drones. Going to take him to a total of 73. And now we are going to see a drop into the main base. It'll pick off an Overlord, certainly, but Symbol does have one spare. And once again, MVP actually engaging in a great position here. Gets the quick pick up and go once again without any problems and should be able to evacuate. Not too much damage done to Symbol. And indeed, it didn't even slow his economy down. He just built more drones. He's on 83 now.
Yeah, so far Symbol's keeping up with the Great One, and we'll see if he can continue with that. He needs to take a fourth base very shortly, and he will get his Infestors out also, but at the same time, MVP will start to ramp up the pressure. When he starts to saturate that third base, we'll be seeing the 2-2 upgrades come in. We'll be seeing additional production facilities, a second factory, even more barracks, and once again, MVP heading towards that third base. Will Symbol pushing back once again?
We shall see. The +1 hasn't kicked in yet, but it is about +2. Not +1 armor, but +1 weapon for those Marines. Just a little bit of damage done to their hatchery. Poking in and out just a little bit, not overcommitting, not overdoing it. Even just eliminates a little bit of the creep spread here as well, because that creep spread is starting to get a bit threatening. And then we also have a drop coming in from the top here, just to do as much damage as possible to this drone line. And it has caught his opponent out of position. It also spots the hive, which is a big win there for MVP as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and this is where MVP starts to take the game out of Symbol's hands. That drop killed drones, he scouts the hive, and now he knows that, alright, cool, what you have right now is a limited amount of units, it's a limited amount of gas that you want to save up. I'm going to start to push you and put pressure on.
That engagement was not good for Symbol at all. MVP easily receives that and does quite a lot of damage to the already limited forces of Symbol. The Infestors are what's going to make the difference here, assuming that he can land some really good fungal growths. But MVP knows they're there and has already split his forces up. He's now dropping to the back of the natural, once again denying a huge amount of mining. Symbol's being torn apart here in a multi-pronged attack, and look at the spread of tanks. MVP looking for an engagement here. Oh, Infestors are going to get target fired down as well if he's not careful. That tank remains alive. This push is looking really dangerous. The drop is now hopped up to the top here and is eliminating Overlords, trying to get a supply block in. Symbol trying to defend on all fronts here.
Oh, wow. Relentless aggression coming out of MVP, who might be enough, especially if he gets that third base, to kick Symbol out of the game here. And MVP just spreading out units so thinly. Fungal growths are useless.
Yeah, they're not so great, are they? And finally, we see a couple going off, but that's all she wrote, really, for those Infestors. That was everything he's got, and will he be able to overrun it? Absolutely not. A single tank is lost. More reinforcements streaming across the field. Symbol dips below 100 supply. Things are looking really grim right here for the upstart, and he's trying his best to defend here, but MVP is incredibly well spread out, and that is the GG. And how many more flawless executions are we going to end up seeing from MVP in this group?
Yeah, it's just incredible play once again, and he just understands the game. I mean, they were going toe-to-toe for so long, but I really do believe that Symbol's decision-making wasn't up to par with MVP as the game dragged on there. To go for a lack of Banelings and to rely only on Infestors, and he only had about 3 or 4, and that's only 3 or 4 fungal growths, and as long as MVP spreads thin, he's never really going to hit the core of the Marine army, and MVP just relentlessly hit down onto that third base, and that was really beautiful play. You know, that drop dragging Symbol north and south. You know, amazing game.
Yeah, that was textbook TVZ right here from MVP. He was not messing around at all. No gimmicks. Straight up. Third base very, very early. Command center first gave him a huge economic advantage. His macro was outstanding. You could see the number of production facilities he has available there. Constantly pumping out units. He was even going for +1 on his tanks as well as +2 for infantry on either side. And unfortunately, Symbol really didn't get a look in that game. So we shall see whether or not he can actually come back in Game 2 and provide more of a challenge for IMMVP. It's going to be difficult with MVP's form the way that it is. He's not messing around, and he has no intention of allowing this one to slip through his fingers. Will Symbol be able to deny him? We'll find out right after this. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this series between Incredible Miracles MVP. He is in the red trunks. He is playing Terran to the south of the Antigua shipyard versus his opponent, currently down 1 game in this best-of-3 series. It is TSL.Symbol in the blue trunks playing Zerg to the north.
Yeah, a bit of a risk from Symbol in that last game to go Hive just on 3 base, and it really is designed to catch the opponent off guard, because usually they'd be like, alright, at the 15-minute mark is when I'm going to stroll, because that's when his Hive should be. And then it's like, oh, Ultra's already out. It's like, oh no. So unfortunately there, MVP just on top of things with scouting, with drops, and as soon as he saw it, it was like, alright, this is going to be the easiest win of my life, as he crushed through 1-0. But Antigua Shipyard is where dreams are made, where money is made, where people get married. It's like a bit like Las Vegas, really.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, the gold base is gone. Never mind. It's Atlantic City.
Well, I ain't saying she a gold digger, but just, I've got nothing to say to that. I'm sorry, I don't. I'm not a judgmental person. You can do whatever you like. You can hook up with whoever you so desire. What happens on Antigua, ladies and gentlemen, stays on Antigua.
Yeah, and hopefully it's nothing too rude from MVP, because this is getting a little bit disgusting the way he's playing. Symbol really has to, understand that you cannot take big risks against a player like MVP, who as soon as he sees something like that will immediately jump all on it, and will take that very fast and easy win.
Yes, and here comes Symbol Scout. He's going to see, oh, right, very, very standard opening here from MVP. Taking gas first. Interesting stuff. Have to wonder what he plans to do with that. Could see something like Reactor Hellion opening. He might just even try to finish the upstart early. Let's see whether or not that happens.
Yeah, I mean, upon seeing the gas a little bit earlier here, Symbol doesn't want to delay his gas too long. On Antigua Shipyard, Hellions do have a lot of area to run by, and MVP is basically saying, if you skim on any timings here, if you aren't prepared to deal with Hellions, then they're going to be arriving a lot faster than the last game. So don't you drone too heavy or, take any unnecessary risks. So Symbol should be at maximum taking gas around 20 supply, and we'll see where he goes from here.
That we will, and MVP just going to go for a quick scout, see what happens, and he will find out the hatchery came first, and then the gas is being taken there by Symbol on 17 supply, so by no means is that late. There's the factory coming up as well, and then we'll try and figure out, well, we'll see shortly, in fact, whether or not this is going to be... And the second gas is going down here from MVP, so it might not be Reactor Hellion at all, in fact.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. I mean, teching up this fast with an extra gas as well, it could mean a lot of other things. It could be, of course, a Banshee opening. It could be double factory blue flame opening, anything along these lines. So we'll have to keep tabs on what MVP is trying to do here. We do see a reactor coming on, but as you can see, it's not lined up at all with the factory. So he definitely has something else planned.
Yes, I have to wonder what that's going to be. Could be just a big Hellion Marine build here or something along those lines. We've got both refineries fully saturated. He's going into both, and the starport is coming in. And it is proxy as well, all the way to the top.
Yeah, this is interesting here, and if by any chance that Symbol manages to scout inside the main base, he'll just see the factory and be like, alright, this is normal. So this is really going to catch Symbol off guard, I feel here. He's going to go down, maybe poke down, maybe find a way the Lings can touch the ramp and be like, alright, there's the Reactor Hellion, that's cool. But the Cloak Banshee coming in as a surprise will really catch him off. The question is, does the Overlord just slightly left of the starport go all the way and scout this out?
It could. It's actually going in that very direction, and it's going to see it. It's going to see it. This is going to be a bit of a blunder here for MVP. He's put it in an area that is going to end up getting scouted one way or the other. And to be fair, Symbol is actively scouting. He's going to find it on the ground if he actually goes any further with that Ling there. He is really cautious. He doesn't actually know about the second gas, but he is incredibly cautious. And this proxy Banshee is going to get scouted right about now.
Yeah, he sees it exactly, and immediately should be just throwing down additional queens, and then he'll be able to hold on to this beautifully. Has a spine on the natural now, and a Viking weirdly coming out now. Upon getting it scouted, he's like, alright, well, this Banshee's not going to work, and I wonder if Symbol was watching to see the Banshee get cancelled and then the Viking made. That's something I actually wasn't looking at.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And he's going to try and trick him, actually, because Caduceus Reactor is coming up here, and it does look like Cloaked Banshee. At least it will look like Cloaked Banshee for the next few seconds. He's going to barbecue that, but the Viking's going to pop out. There's the cancellation. The thing is that Overlord is still in position. Two double expand coming in from MVP, and in the meantime, there's a couple of Lings on the way. They are messing around here, and they're going to delay these expansions.
Yeah, I don't think Symbol's going to fall to this mind game here, and as he knows the Viking's out, he still has 4 queens, which is fine. He can use them to creep spread and lava, inject into a macro hatch and so on, but he denies both of these expansions going down. Well, actually, no, the SCV on the third base actually survived here, but this opens up a very, very normal timing here, because MVP doesn't have any units. He just has Hellions down, so I wonder what Symbol's going to do. He throws down a macro hatch, whether he decides to throw down a Roach one and just go Roach Ling here with Roach speed, or whether he'll just use Lings alone, but he will have to do something to prevent this third base being from easily taken.
Yeah, sadly as well, the Viking was lost in the process, so unfortunate how that ended up happening. MVP could have very easily cleaned up a lot of Overlords all over the map here if he hadn't done that, but Well, Symbol's at least managed to find a crack in the armor of the Great One here. The question is, will he be able to exploit that enough? MVP rolling forward here. He has a significant economic disadvantage at the moment, which has been made even more severe by the fact that the natural was delayed. But now that he's double expanded, if he goes double orbital, he'll be able to catch that up without too much of a problem. And now he looks to prevent creep spread to the third, as well as maybe run by. I don't think run by is going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think so either, but he may try it, but it looks like, MVP's going to be playing mech behind this, but we do have a Spire coming out, so he's taking the option of, I'm going to be aggressive with this with just Mulus, but it's so far-fetched, it's going to be incredibly long for them to get out, and Symbol baiting the Hellions now potentially here as he moves down with the Queens, maybe sends down these links to try and get us around, and as long as MVP's playing careful watch, that will never happen.
No, I don't think so. And he goes for it there, and I don't know. MVP might be able to take that. The surround is good, but MVP is in a good position as well to minimize the amount of damage he's taken, and a couple of Hellions picked off here and there, and a fairly decent trade there for MVP, but it does allow creep spread, which is perhaps the most important thing here, to try and join it up with the third, and that is pretty much going to happen. A nice cleanup there by Symbol to finish off the remainder of the Hellions.
Yeah, that's really nice for Symbol. He did okay there. I mean, trading Lings versus Hellions is okay at this stage of the game. And the thing is, though, that MVP's using Thors to defend against Mulus incoming very shortly here. And they're going to be able to magic box the Thor, which is really sad for MVP because the Thor will die incredibly easy. Blue Flame Hellions are out now, and they are chasing down these Lings, but upon seeing Blue Flame, he already knows he's playing against Mech here, so Double Evolution comes down, Roach One comes down as well, so he will be tech switching out of it, but these initial Mulus is more than enough to do damage to the SCV line, and, doing damage to Hellions also.
Yep, he'll be able to clean up a couple there, and might see a little bit of drone damage here. A couple of drones picked off, but Symbol finishing off the Hellions, and now it needs to be a case of get these Thors out, get this +1 done. As you accurately pointed out, a single Thor can be very easily magic boxed. 2, well, that's a little bit trickier, but the problem with Thors is they are not particularly mobile.
Yeah, and he's going to go in. Actually takes a salvo from that Thor there, but the thing is, though, will MVP overbuild in defense against Mulus, which may be the case here. He has 2 turrets inside his main base, nothing on the natural, which is normal, but he does have 2 on the third base as well. And smartly here, Symbol is just playing exactly how he should be playing here, doing the best case against what's happening, and that's go to 75 drones. That's all he needs to do, and then very shortly build like 10 overlords, and then just build a million roaches, and that's how he's going to be able to crush the small little force here and spread out force of MVP.
I like the fact he's also adding Ventral Sacs on here as well, giving himself some options. In fact, he's actually researching 5 upgrades simultaneously because, hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 upgrades simultaneously, 7 upgrades simultaneously. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Well, it's one thing that people say about mech is that they're not going to push you for a long time, so, do whatever you want, and Symbol takes that to heart.
Yeah, no kidding. That's what he wants. Like, he had this fantasy from when he just first started to play StarCraft 2. One day, my son, one day I will construct 7 upgrades simultaneously, and it shall be glorious. And that's exactly what he's going to do, and as you said, what is Mech going to do in this position? They need this big, well-protected critical mass, and right now he's got to play defensively because mutas are on the field. So Symbol takes a 4th base, spreads creep in a ridiculous manner, I might add. He's got a huge amount of tumors down here. Breaking this is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually probably the best thing for MVP is if we did see Symbol go straight down that choke, because he's going to have tanks on high and low ground shortly, and he has a bunker, of course. The best case here is for Symbol just to drop everything in the main base. Really, what is there to defend inside the main base?
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. And at this stage of the game, roaches become expendable. He can just use them left and right. It doesn't matter if they achieve or not. So I expect him to do that very shortly, though. He's moved all these overlords down. There's no units here yet, though. But I feel that they will meet up together and he will go in. But, smartly, Sensor Tower does pop up at that exact time. And he sees units, but that actually could be just Mulus in his mind.
Yeah, that's interesting. He doesn't know what they are. It's just blips on the sensor tower. So he is intrigued, no doubt. But He's going to have to predict what those are, and that's quite risky. You have no idea. As you said, it could be mutas. A little bit of a poke in here by Symbol. There are units in here. He's going to see them coming, and the Viking moves to intercept. Drop's going to come in. He's probably going to end up losing a couple of roaches here, but the rest of these roaches are going to end up in the bases. A Thor there now as well, and I don't know if there's really enough roaches there to do enough damage. There is a tank in the base. There's a Thor to back it up as well. The roaches back themselves off. Hellions acting as a buffer, not really doing much else other than dying horribly here. And SCV's even coming off the line. A couple more Thors should come in to finish this off.
Yeah, he's losing quite a few SCVs though there. I mean, with the Mutalists in there as well, even though Mutalists are no longer needed in this game, he throws them away. We do have the Infestation Pit finished up, so the Hive can actually be started now as the 4th base gases are taken at the top right, and he can start to play towards a Great Aspire and Broodlords and so on, because right now MVP doesn't really have anything to fight against that overall, unless he starts a bunch of Viking production. He is making them, but only 2 at a time, so at the end stages, Corruptors will be more than enough if they're pumped out in big numbers. But once again, roaches now streaming down the side, and there are not that many holes from MVP playing a very solid mech game.
Yeah, but Symbol has 5 bases and is very well upgraded as well. He's got a lot of options. He's got a lot of money coming in. His income is very, very high. And he also has this drop capability that could be a dire threat to MVP's economy, potentially. MVP has to really mass up that big force, and even when he does, that force is going to be fairly immobile. So I have to wonder, how does Symbol exploit that? He exploits that by spreading creep all over the map. He is almost at MVP's main with his creep. This gives him unparalleled scouting information, awareness, and mobility.
Yeah, this is getting out of control a little bit here. The Hive is about to finish, and Great Aspire will be started soon. And I mean, the Overlords can actually drop right on top of the army here. There's, especially as it's moving out, there's no Vikings with it, which is a little bit of a mistake. He's guarding his back rather than guarding his army, so he has to be so careful. Here is Symbol's just going to go for it if he sees that chance.
Here comes the massive roach drop on top of it. He's taking a lot of fire from the Thors and might lose a couple here and there, but here come the roaches, and how much damage will he be able to inflict with this? The tanks are instantly crushed, and oh my god, MVP is getting wrecked at this stage.
Yeah, look at that. Thor's tanks, Hellions gone. Tanks are, I don't even think there are any tanks left. There's one left on the side, but that's his army crushed. And there's 42 roaches coming out once again. The Hive is now finished. He can either go straight into Great Spire, he can go into +3 carapace on the ground and +3 carapace on the Spire if he wants to. But the Vikings are doing a lot of damage, but what is there to stop the new reinforcements of roaches? And the answer is, well, not a lot.
Well, MVP did probably the best thing he could have done in that situation, which is to try and knock out as many Overlords as possible. Maybe it delays reinforcing, which it is. It's impossible right now for Symbol to go to 200. He's too heavily supply blocked. It also delays dropping, so that's fairly important. But Symbol's now going to get a little bit fancy with some borrowed infestors moving in, and a large roach force already got onto the field anyway, so it doesn't really make that much of a difference. It's about to finish +2. These Thors are well upgraded, but there are far too many roaches to actually be stopped by that. Tunneling Claws now available, +2 about to kick in. Hydraless Den. The Vikings are now harassing, trying to take out the Great Aspire, and you know what? They probably will. They should be able to do that, so at least that slows them down there, but what is there to stop this many roaches? Oh, and we're even deploying Infested Terrans behind the tanks here to take a couple of shells as the roaches overwhelm the defenses of IMMVP, and that is the GG, and Symbol equalizes.
Yeah, that's awesome here by Symbol. Unfortunately for MVP, mech isn't that good, and that's really why we don't see it. It's so exploitable. And unfortunately, this is probably one of the best maps for mech to be played on here, so I don't think we'll be seeing that again from MVP. But MVP takes his first cut, his first bleed in this tournament, and we'll see if Symbol can capitalize on that and go for the blow in the last game of this best of 3.
Symbol smells blood. He knows now that MVP bleeds just like any other man, and will now no doubt be surging in confidence after an unbelievably well-played macro game. I have not seen creep spread like that since Stefano's ladder stream, honestly. In a tournament of this caliber, it's almost unheard of. But MVP really couldn't clean it out, and indeed, the fact that he went for this proxy Banshee ended up forcing out 2 spare queens for Symbol, and Symbol's like, alright, I've got 2 spare queens. Let's spread some creep. And how many creep tumors? Even on one screen, I have row after row of creep tumors. They are all over the place. He went crazy with that, and keeping up with that amount of creep spread is difficult. And that takes a lot of multitasking.
Yeah, it does. It's a lot of speed to be able to do that. But, you know, that's one way to beat MVP is to do these little small things that add up to the end. And that's really good for Symbol. And I really do hope that Symbol starts to pick up more fans because of this series.
He should do. If he didn't pick up fans in the Iron Squid qualifier, then I hope that he does here, because he's playing incredibly well now. And I look forward to seeing what's going to come out of him in Game 3. Will indeed we see my prediction being correct? Will MVP be able to actually come back? Or will we get into a situation where Symbol is able to crush through and take a really good victory? And if he can take a victory off Idra and then MVP, then I have to ask who can stop this monster. We'll find out very shortly after this break. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, now welcome to the third game. Yes, a third game involving MVP in a best-of-3 series. He is in the Red Trunks, and he is playing Terran to the southwest of Cloud Kingdom versus his opponent, the Upstart, the new hope for TSL. It is TSL.Symbol in the Blue Trunks playing Zerg to the northeast.
Yeah, I really do commend TSL. They've been through rough times, losing players, you know, not playing well, but they've managed to keep a core set of players going. Yep. And, you know, alongside Pult, Shine, and the others in there, I mean, TSL are a really good team, and I do hope them the best because they are staying true. They haven't disbanded despite the rough times, which is always good to see. And I think, on the other hand, thinking of what MVP should do in this game is, I think he should go back to like how he played in Game 1. You know, that was just monstrous. You know, Barracks, Command Center first, whatever mind game he wants to pull out here, and see if Symbol can go toe-to-toe once again. Because in that last game, Proxy, Starport, really, MVP? Do you really need to do these kind of strategies when you can win straight up?
Yeah, that's what I really don't get. Was he trying something entertaining for the fans? Was he just thinking, hey, you know, let's try and... Was he taking the best-of-3 scenario to heart? Because the psychology of best-of-3 is always interesting, and it works differently for different players. And a player of the caliber of MVP might say, right, okay, well, I just won Game 1, and it wasn't even close. So I'm feeling confident. I'll try something gimmicky. If it loses, whatever. I've got Game 3. Not a problem. I could just beat him straight up.
And, yeah, that's true. That's true, but MVP... Well, actually, there's a drone scout again from Symbol. MVP going Command Center first again. Symbol drone scouts again here. And I guess that's, you know, kind of needed, considering we have no idea... Well, he doesn't have any idea what's going to go, if it's going to be a cheese in Game 3, whether it will be Command Center first or something. So he does go in, and the drone, the SCV count alone shows him that there's no really craziness coming out here of any double early barracks. And as he goes down the ramp, we'll see that, and that's really good information for him, and hopefully we'll be able to see Symbol really stretch out his economy. And oh my god, he was about to build a spawning pool in his main, and I think he's going to triple expand before spawning pool. That's so sick.
Yeah, that's an interesting move, and a good way to deal with it, certainly. I mean, he is dealing with Command Center first, so why not? But it's 2 barracks to follow that up, and yes, we are going to see double expand here. That's 3 hatcheries before spawning pool. Oh yes, this is a good series already.
Yeah, I mean, this is like Starcraft 1, and Symbol being a Starcraft 1 player is like, alright, you know what we did in Starcraft 1 when somebody did this? We took a 3rd hatchery before anything, and as you can see, it's happening here, and this is going to be so crazy, because if he goes untouched and manages to get 3 queens out and just hits lava injects everywhere, this game is going to be like finished within 10 minutes, and both of these guys are going to be 200 max army. It's going to be incredible.
I'm looking forward to it. That sounds great. Why not? And we've even got a gas coming in before spawning pool, and it is being mined there, so he can get the speed upgrade fairly quickly, and we'll also then have options to go forward. Double gas being taken by MVP. No sign of a 3rd command center from him as of yet, but that will most likely happen after the racks. He puts down 2 racks to ensure that his opponent doesn't have an option to go in nice and early and punish him for that. He scouts that, and will he actually scout the 3rd? That's the interesting thing here.
Well, let's have a look at the SCV in his main base. It hasn't seen the spawning pool yet. and it won't see it until just now. So that's actually really bad for MVP. If he'd seen it still making, then he would have been like, all right, cool, because he can click on the gas and see that, all right, only just 100 been mined, but he doesn't know exactly, but he's going up there anyway and is going to see it, and now definitely knows what exactly is going on. But actually, going back to what I just said, upon not seeing a queen at 5 minutes 40 seconds or whatever, I guess that's one giveaway tale.
Yeah, I guess it is. I mean, it just delays his information a little bit. Doesn't really seem to matter all that much. 2 more racks being added on. A sneaky overlord is on its way, and maybe sacrificed at some point to get some good information about MVP here as well. 3 queens coming out for Symbol. I'll be interested to see if he adds a 4th, because he does seem to love that creep spread, and it did serve him very well. How the hell do you deal with a player that can see the entire map?
Yeah, that's where it becomes difficult. Drops with overlords, ground units with creep. That's when a true Zerg player has and sees everything. And MVP's strategy is interesting this game around. You know, he's gone double tech labs for straight stim and combat shield, then double reactor on the natural, these 2 extra barracks. He's going to rush up to a really, really fast unit count and then just try to kill his opponent really, really fast here. Though speed is done, there's no defensive net such as a Baneling Nest or you know, anything that can really help out against these Marines really early on, and they're going to be climbing up fast. Marauders coming in here. This is a beautiful addition to this build, and basically the adding of the Marauders says, all right, if you go Banelings, you're only going to have a maximum of like 8. My Marauders, they're going to kill your Banelings before you even touch my Marines here. So this is really, truly interesting from MVP. And will it work, though, is the question.
Yeah, that is a good question, because if he's not able to strike at the right moment, then we're just going to see a powerhouse of an economy. We're already seeing a powerhouse of an economy. He's at 50 drones, and he's building another 9. He is not messing around. And a double evolution chamber has, in fact, sorry, double engineering bay has been added on here for MVP. Although, considering the caliber of skill of MVP, it wouldn't surprise me if I saw a double evolution chamber from him, honestly. You never know. He's figured something out there.
I wouldn't be surprised if he just continued with 1-1, maybe threw down the 3rd base very shortly. There's no need to add on tech at this stage of the game. You want to be adding a 3rd command center and really taking the game later on, and then the armory, then additional tech, factory starport, whatever. And we do see MVP pushing out now, near stim and completion, and also combat peels, but still 10 drones. He's about to be at 66 drones. There's nothing. The Baneling Nest is only halfway. This is actually really scary for Symbol, who is playing a little bit too greedily here.
He may have overdone it just a little bit, and it could be to his peril. This force that's rolling out, there is nothing to stop it, and I mean literally nothing. There are 8 lings coming, there are 18 more on the way. They will finish before this hits, and that will not be enough lings. He's going to need Banelings immediately. 8, the exact number that you said, are on their way. They've already been scanned by MVP. They're not even ready by the time that they end up hitting, and a single Spine Crawler falls. The second one will go. A Transfuse only delays this by a couple of seconds, and this base is under dire threat and is most likely going to die. These Banelings are not going to do a damn thing. That's just because MVP has added those Marauders, as you said, target firing down there, and a lot of the Banelings are going to be stopped simply by the halt command there, and MVP still has all of his Marines alive.
I didn't pick off the 3rd hatchery, though. That's the goal here, and if he doesn't kill that, then why is he there? And it doesn't matter about the Banelings and Lings out now. This is so bad for MVP. Should have really got that. And now you were going to see that the drones coming over once again. And this is where things start to get a little bit out of control here for MVP. As the Spire is done, he scans and sees the Spire, he sees the Baneling speed being researched as well. But he does have that 3rd command center. Should have an armory near completion, which he does have actually in the 2-2 upgrades coming shortly. And Medivac's out too. So this push was a push, but there is a 2nd wave and a 3rd and 4th wave, and they get stronger every time.
That they do, and we'll see whether or not he's able to do anything with that. We've got +1/+1 about to complete, so I'd imagine he might want to try a timing here with that. We've got a few Lings just keeping an eye on things here and there. They don't spot the majority of that force, but there is a single Zergling here, which is not the chosen one, as it turns out, because it had its back turned to the army. It doesn't see anything whatsoever, and then there's this strike force here. Its sole mission to annihilate that hatchery.
Yeah, it's a big risk if he tries it, though. Yeah, it's big risk. And Bailing's speed now just about finished, too. And Symbol's doing the best thing. If any, and I tell this in coaching lessons, I'm like, if you die to Marines only and Grand Force only, just build Banelings. He doesn't have anything to stop them. That's what tanks are for. And Banelings alone are just going to go all over this. And Burrow, too.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
We know what's up. We've seen him play. And MVP turns tail, having seen Banelings abound. We've got Lings now also denying the third expansion here for MVP, and this is looking really good for Symbol. He's got a fantastic economy. He's got loads of lava available to build whatever he needs. He's got a good bank. He's adding Mutalisks on as well to start pulling this army apart and to start harassing and keeping it close to the base. And he also has a crushing hammer blow of Banelings at a total of 39.
Yeah, I'm not too sure on the Mutalist decision, though. I mean, it's good if you can catch your opponent without turrets, but MVP has got turrets, and they're, of course, never going to do anything to these Marines. I'm just a little bit scared by that decision. I would have loved to see an Infestation Pit come down instead, but as you said, Totalbiscuit, here are the Borrowed Banelings on every single ramp.
No! MVP just saw a Borrowed Baneling right there. I don't like that at all. Did he see it burrow? Because if he did, then he's going to be uber paranoid about that.
Yeah, but he only has 2 orbital commands. He's got a planetary fortress because of the natural aggressive stance from Symbol with all these units. And this is going to be so sick if he lands a Baneling. But every single ramp, there's Banelings everywhere. That's so many scans needed.
Yeah, that's very true. And he got those under there quite nicely. And I imagine that MVP will just try not to drive this away, but just to play very defensively and stay in there. But as you said, the Borrowed Baneling's incredibly dangerous, and that's something we need to keep an eye out for. The hatchery's coming up for Symbol as well. He's going to take a 4th base behind this, knowing this opponent is now on a solid 3rd. But Symbol's still looking good, 70 drones, and he could even add on a bunch more here. But right now he's just building nothing but units, looking to max out at 200.
Yeah, he's taking a 4th base too. Infestation Pit coming down, so he will be able to go Hive shortly. And I do love this play from Symbol, but I'm a little bit worried that the tank count just isn't high enough from MVP, even in the fight, to pick off this amount of Banelings. I mean, there's 40 Banelings on the map. You know, that's including the borrowed ones, but still, 3-3 will shortly be underway for MVP, who is sit tight, and there's nothing Symbol can do, not even with Mulus at the moment, until, well, +1's just finished, but still, even with Mulus, there's so many +2 Marines around everywhere that they'll be able to pick it off. Right now, all he has to do is just go straight up into Great Aspire. And as I say that, MVP lands a money scan here exactly on top of the Hive and sees that morphing and being constructed now and immediately pushes out, but also scans in the middle.
Tell you, mate.
He sees the Banelings, but there's so many more layers of that.
Yeah, that's true. He did pick up 4 Banelings, though. There's another 2 there. There are Banelings, as you said, at every single...
Oh no, Totalbiscuit, the 3rd base!
No kidding, as it crashes in. That's a lot of losses there, and MVP held that really well. Those Banelings did not do anywhere near enough.
Yeah, and he's just going to turn around and stim and sprint for it now, and more Banelings are being morphed, but that was a big, hit of an army for Symbol, but does he have enough to reinforce that? Another hit going down by the Banelings. Will we see more?
Well, I certainly hope so. He's going to need it because he just lost a lot of Banelings in that engagement. He's going to need another really good one, but the scans are now going down on the ramps. He knows what's up. He will not be tricked twice. He didn't get these 2, however. Symbol is looking to draw him on there. Oh no, he is so close. It's good. It's very, very good, and suddenly the tables have turned.
Symbol, man, is so good. There is a drop going to kill off a hatchery on the right-hand side, but that doesn't matter since the 4th base is in the center here, and Symbol going to chase down an MVP. Smartly picks up his reinforcements here and has to pull back, but once again, there's only a single tank. There's only just now a 2nd factory come in, but there is going to be a big drop into the main base here, looking for that Great Aspire, looking for that spawning pool. Will Symbol be able to get back and defend in time?
He's on creep now. He should be getting there very, very rapidly indeed. Streaming across the map very, very quickly. MVP's going to split the drop up. He's going to go for the 3rd and maybe even take it down. And then as the majority of the army streams into the main, is going to hopefully be able to do huge damage. And he has. He's eliminated a lot of that mineral line. Surround comes in there as MVP attempts to get out of the way. The cleanup has happened on both sides. As regards to how much damage has been done, well, actually, it hasn't been cleaned up. MVP's still alive in the 3rd mineral line. Is decimating it right now.
And he's also onto the natural too, and you know, Symbol falling apart a little bit here. Ling's getting shredded, just not as well upgraded as these Marines here. And oh, Infestors are very... Oh my god, they don't have any energy in the center of the map.
Oh man, and there's the
Symbol,
scan!
no.
Oh no, Symbol a blunder, and MVP picks up on that very nicely. Oh, so good play here from MVP, and Symbol looked like he had an opportunity here, but I think we're seeing the perfectionist in action here as MVP decimates. He's cleaned out the mineral line on the 3rd. He has now taken out the 5th. He killed the 4th earlier. The Banelings are coming in and get to surround the tanks, doing some damage, but MVP doesn't take anywhere near enough. And Symbol almost at 100 supply now. Things looking really grim. And, well, what are you going to do with those Corruptors exactly?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he can now morph them to Broodlords, but MVP smartly can just very easily run underneath them if he knows about it. But there's still a lot of borrowed Banelings across the map, so if he gets a lucky hit off and kills these Marines, maybe he can still turn this around. That's one of the biggest things in this matchup at this stage.
Yeah, that's very, very true, and I have to wonder if MVP will fall for that again. He narrowly avoided the fate of borrowed Banelings earlier on by splitting his force. He didn't even know they were there. Of course, you can expect, but he was able to get away with that Scanlands just as that arrives, and is also going to see the Broodlords as well. And Symbol's just like, right, I got Broodlords, what you going to do now? And that's hopefully going to give him enough time to sort himself out again with more expansions and get his economy and army back in order. But the supply count tells a very ugly story here for Symbol.
Yeah, he just doesn't have any income after these bases are mined out, which they're pretty much done. There is a drop headed right for the main base here by MVP, who's also pushing out towards that 3rd base at the same time. The drop is covered by Lings in the main, so very smartly here by Symbol, but no, Symbol, to the right. It's to the right.
There's a Corruptor on the way. Surely he sees that, and or maybe not. He's actually going to allow them all to deploy, which was a terrible thing to do. They're +3/+3 as well, and they're going to be able to do a fantastic job here, decimating those Lings. They don't even care. He doesn't worry. He's not worried about that. He's even going to take the Corruptor down before it deals with that. So things are looking grim right now for Symbol, I'm afraid. MVP's just hit 200 supply, and his borrowed Banelings are going to go off and take a good chunk away from MVP there, but I don't think it's enough. Symbol's supply count is looking awful at the moment.
Yeah, it really is, but does he have enough Broodlord damage here? That's the question. Maybe not with the Vikings. Oh my god, Vikings almost one-shotting. Oh, that was a Corruptor, never mind. But with the Corruptors, he will be able to push these back, and we do see him, Symbol, continue to stay in this game.
Yeah, which is good, admittedly. If he can continue to hold his opponent off and re-establish those expansions, he'll be in a decent position. But what I'm worried about is that he won't be able to do that, and MVP will not allow that to occur. He's got more units on the way. He has taken a lot of losses here from these Broodlords, and a borrowed Baneling detonation again goes off, and it's taken chunks out of MVP's army. I will give Symbol all credit for that. He's doing a stellar job of doing that, but his drone count, look at his drone count. It is not good. He is mined out on his natural. He is now mining pretty much from his 3rd alone. He has no other bases.
Yeah, and I think he knows if he tries to take another one, MVP will be all over it. So I think he's just trying to go for the strongest army physically possible and try to win the game. That's like it. But at the same time, MVP can very easily take another expansion, which he's trying to do in the center of the map now as he's lifted up his main orbital command and is looking so good. The 3/3 Marines, Vikings out. There is well, not really a drop, but a squad on the ground which could actually jump across the cliff and go down, but looks like Symbol's all over it actually as the Corruptors come on the natural, and well, that Medivac is gone.
Yes, it is, and these guys are stranded, unfortunately. A stim goes off and achieves basically nothing. Symbol can go for the cleanup here if he wants. Admittedly, I don't know if the trade is worthwhile, especially against +3/+3 Marines, but eventually he'll be able to sort that out, and I suppose at this stage, Lings aren't really worth much, but when you're only mining from one base, I think every little bit counts.
Oh, and another drop gets picked up in the top left by these... it's funny, these Corruptors just go around picking off drops, but the problem is this big push. But how many Marines are there here? Let's have a look in the unit tab. There's 51 Marines. That's really difficult. Maybe if he can land a couple of chain fungal glyphs, he does have 4 Infestors, but Symbol cannot make a single mistake with this engagement. Not a single mistake, otherwise MVP will win.
Yeah, he is vastly outnumbered, and MVP has pretty much all the time in the world to create the perfect engagement for himself. And if he's able to do that, then horrendous things are going to end up happening. Vikings spread out all over the place. Enough Corruptors certainly to pick them off, but it will take a little bit of time, and that's going to mean that the Broodlords can't really get where they need to be. Also, a lot of Broodlords going to get picked off here. There's the fungal growth going out, and a second fungal growth to try and take that down. However, the Broodlord count did take a little bit of damage here, and Symbol's Corruptor count is actually getting very low. MVP does have a Viking advantage. 5 more Corruptors coming on the field, and slowly these tank creep is going to get very, very unpleasant. Will he be able to catch them out of position? No, I don't. Well, maybe he will, actually. MVP's army currently in retreat, and Symbol taking an advantage, but that was a ruse, and he does have the units ready to turn around and do horrendous damage to Symbol's only army. And as you pointed out, if Symbol loses this army, he's got nothing.
Yeah, that's it. There's no way he can replenish this army, and it looks like MVP's really struggling, and it seems like he's missing the ghosts a lot from that previous patch. Vikings now, 2 more starports coming down, plus 2 ship weapons as well. But these Corruptors, not only do they have, their natural armor upgrades, they also do have +1 attack doing more damage to these Vikings, and we do see Symbol the one getting aggressive here.
Which is incredible, considering he is so far behind in terms of his actual supply count. But the armies are fairly similar, but here he goes for it, and the Banelings don't really do anything whatsoever. Really well target fired down. MVP eats a number of fungal growths, but Symbol losing those Broodlords now, and this, I think, is the nail in the coffin, I'm afraid, for TSL's hope in this particular game. 70 supply to 147. MVP with a significant economic advantage, and Symbol now with no army to speak of.
Yeah, this is not looking so good for Symbol, and he knows it now, and he's going to have to tap out as MVP strolls forward with these Vikings. Not even enough fungal growth to kill them out, and Symbol had a valiant effort here and has to collect his thoughts ready for the game against Thorzane.
He does. That was a really good series, honestly. It really was. Symbol played an incredible game, but MVP just plays incredible all the time. That's a state of being for MVP. That's just breathing for him, really. And he demonstrated that without question, and there is no real doubt in my mind. MVP playing superbly, Symbol playing really well too, and Symbol's just such an exciting player to me, really. He is the most exciting Zerg in Korea at the moment for me, even more so than Dongregu.
Absolutely, Symbol's got so much potential to do well here, and I really do hope he can, but the thing is now we're going to have to be a little bit split across who we're going to put our faith in, because if we want, Symbol to do well in this tournament, he has to beat Thorzane now. And of course, everybody loves a foreigner doing well. And Thorzane, already losing 1 game against MVP, has to go up against Symbol in Game 3 of today's broadcast.
Yes, however, before that, the grudge match, the reoccurring grudge match. It's going to be Idra versus MC, ladies and gentlemen, right after this break. You're currently watching the Iron Squid tournament. It's brought to you by Astro Gaming and Twitch.tv. Don't go anywhere.